Welcome to the fourth episode of our Country Story People podcast. I'm your host, David Salomon, Sal for short. I'm talking to John Hartley, accomplished artist, musician, cultural statesman, and advocate for the Gubbidiwarra Yalanji of the Mosman area in North Queensland. Today, we explore the intersection of music, dance, country and culture. John talks about stories, songs and dance as a way of restoring community, and much more. We discuss the significance of Juwalpa, the impact of exhibiting in Port Douglas, and regenerating language through music. Use links in the description to go directly to a topic you want to listen to. And remember to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons to help us get the words out. So let's dive in. Well, good morning, John. It's good to talk to you again.
Good morning, David. Yalada.
There's a couple of things from last time we talked. One of the things is that you've sent a song through for the tour. I know you've been working on music for some time, but I just found this last piece to do with Juwalpa very, very moving. I thought we might start off just by talking about your process for developing those songs.
Well, in a lot of the areas in our country, the stories are still there, and so what I'm doing in then taking the stories into song and then into dance is just utilising those areas of the story that are quite open and putting them together in a way where they phonetically create rhythm, and a sort of feeling to that. In relation to, say, an area like Juwalpa, I might be looking at certain features within that particular area, It could be the food sources in that area. It may be a particular waterhole or spring in that area. And then just putting that together in a very general sense. Attempt to create something from that.
So what about Juwalpa itself? It's a location in your Gubbidiwarra estate there. Just tell us a little about that.
Well, Juwalpa is a particular area to the north of us, which for all intents and purposes signifies a border between us and our neighbouring Yalanji clan. So that's significant for that way, but it's also a source of very essential root foods, For that alone, it's important for us, And it's also creating a song for that area and also a dance which features the digging stick, because the juwal is a actual digging stick. That I think will highlight that particular area for our younger generations. That's the idea behind it. Yeah.
So that song then is going to be included in the exhibition that's coming up in Port Douglas in July. And we talked a little bit about that last time, and I thought we might follow up on just the significance of using a site in Port Douglas to have your exhibition, because it's been a place of some contention, I guess, to say the least, over the years. I thought it might be useful to just talk through that a little.
Well, Port Douglas we call Manja Jalanboy, which means mountain by the sea, or mountain beside the sea, And that also, the area of Port Douglas itself contains a number of significant stories for Yalanji. It was also one of the areas over in Port Douglas was also an area where we held a lot of ceremonial gatherings which was attended by our neighbouring tribes to the south, to the west and to the north, would congregate there at certain times of the year for a major ceremonial gathering, where a lot of our, disputes were sorted out. A lot of marriages were sorted out, and things like that. In the early days of colonisation and in the so-called settlement of the Port Douglas area, it was quite a bloody area, and there were a number of massacre sites in the area, and of course a lot of the mass murder of our people, of our ancestors. And not only that, it's our going back there is significant in that during that time, as you'd know, that our ceremonies were banned, our languages were banned, the gathering together as Aboriginal people were banned, so on and so forth. So it's significant, I think, in this sense anyway, that we are now going back into country, acknowledging those ancestors and the things that happened, but also going back there in language, in dance and in song.
I understand there's still a difficult place for a lot of community people to go.
It is indeed, very much so. The ceremonial ground I was talking about was taken over by a big developer back in the day, and during their excavations, ancestral remains were unearthed. We don't know what happened to those remains. We don't know where they've gone, and that hotel or resort rather is still reluctant to admit it openly what happened there. So that creates a lot of hurt for people. But not only there's particular areas within Port Douglas where the mass murders took place. So it's a very emotional and a very hard place for Burma to go there, understandably. It is an area of our country and of particularly Gubbidiwada, part of the Gubbidiwada clan estate. And we have an obligation to those ancestors, and we have to also think about the future generations of Burma. And I think it's about, when we go there, about clearing the way and opening up the way for the return there in a good way, in a way that acknowledges our ancestors. We believe our ancestors are always here, guiding us and forewarning us. And I think us going back into Manjal Jalanboy is a part of that obligation and responsibility we have to those ancestors, and also about revealing what happened in those areas over there, And so going back there, our first thing we'll be conducting is what a Wajul ceremony, which is a clearing ceremony for those who have passed, essentially. And that's what we'll be performing first off, before we go into the other dances and what have you. But it's also bringing all members of community together at that place and in that time, whether you're Indigenous, non-Indigenous, whatever, it doesn't matter, but also bringing people together.
And so we're going in with ceremony, lighting the fire, and then the songs and the dances. What's do you expect the effect of bringing those cultural elements back into that country?
I would think it would bring us a bit, for speaking for the from a Bummer perspective, it would give us a much more ease in that we've addressed some of the issues over there, and we're clearing the way for the future, really, and we are taking up the responsibility and the obligations towards those old people there. And I think to the broader community, I guess it's saying, here we are, this is the country, this is the story, and we are the people, of this area.
We've talked a little before about the opportunities for Bummer to be more involved in the development in the area, employment and so on. Is that, part of what's happening here? To be more engaged with, well, just life in general, I suppose.
Yeah. I think it's to do with that. We need to address the impoverishment of our people, The creation of employment, we think is a healthy thing for our people, Whether that's working with developers, if you like, that have development that sits all right with us, and also opportunities in tourism and so on and so forth, where we can create employment for Bummer, wherever that is, provided that employment is genuine and healthy towards the environment and things like that, then we should be involved in those things, Yeah. And we should be involved in the decision-making processes of what's happening within our country in regards to developments.
I guess that one of the roles that might be taken up is the monitoring on those sites where is development is happening, assuming they've gone through, proper process and there's agreement been reached. Because, Bummer have been excluded from that sort of activity and involvement until fairly recently. Is that right?
Oh yes, yeah. And the history of of everywhere really has been to get rid of Bummer, either through mass murder or exiling them into other areas where we may not be seen, and yes. Until very recently, the being involved in the decision makings, or rather being consulted and having free, prior, and informed consent, has not been the order of the day. It's just plough ahead and keep going, and there's no thought towards the land or the people, And so we have to turn that around. And of course, with native title, once your claim is registered, then there's a particular obligation upon parties to sit down and consult with First Nations peoples. We'll be looking at having a primary role in all those decisions over our areas of country within our clan estate, be that be that to do with sky or land or waterways and sea country and all the islands thereof, you know.
On a different topic, you were about to go and look at some trees for building a canoe last time we spoke.
Oh, yeah.
You had an interesting project that you were looking at there. Is that progressing at this stage?
It's progressing slowly. We got some trees that are marked out. They're a particular kind of a tree that we'll be using. And just this week we went and picked out some other trees where we can develop shields out of, you know, the old rainforest shields, which are quite large. So all that's progressing quite well. We'd like to fell a tree, you know, before the end of the month, which will give us several weeks to get a canoe together and also to get the shields together for the ceremonial dance, yeah.
So it's going to be a community project, sort of the building of these shields and canoes. I gather you're gathering a group of people together to do that.
Oh, yeah, well, the whole thing is a community project, but in particular, the idea is when we have the tree that we invite younger people to join us in building that canoe, you know, and to be able to spend time with some of their elders and whilst building that canoe, yeah. So we think it'll be a healthy thing for the community, particularly for those young fellas, but for all involved, you know. I don't know how long it's been since a dugout canoe without riggers has been built up this way. I couldn't tell you how the last time that had happened, yeah. So it's exciting for a number of reasons, but it also, I think, to have part of that in the exhibition presents to people that our sovereignty and our custodialship is not simply on the land, it's also relates to our sea country and those islands within that our particular area of sea country as well. You know, that we were also a seafaring people, so to speak, for hunting purposes, of course. Yeah.
I guess it's worth remembering that the coastline has changed over the period of occupation by Burma there, with rising and falling sea levels, and access to some places is by sea now, whereas before it was probably by canoe. And so you have stories that encompass what today is ocean, really.
There are, in fact, yeah. There are stories out there that are now covered by ocean. There's a number of those stories out there. Yeah.
What's next on your activities? I know you're very busy at this stage with the lead up to the exhibition in July.
Well, it's those canoetry, of course, the shields, the artefacts. Where we are currently in the process of collating all the exhibition material, cataloguing the exhibition material, and that's not just me. There's a team of people that are working with the curator to catalogue, to write stories on the particular artworks or the particular baskets or stone materials that are going to be presented, and of course the canoe, and also we're doing 3 different types of bayan, which is a bayan is like houses or shelters that were used back in the day within the exhibition as well. So there's a lot of work around collating and writing and cataloguing the exhibition material and laying out the exhibition itself. So there's a lot of work and that, and fortunately we have a number of people dedicated to that at the moment. We'll still be looking for a good tree for the canoe, for the shields, getting them done. And tonight I will be having a meeting with some of the people in regards to dancing. So that starts tonight, and it'll be just general discussions about because these dances will be a little bit different in that they will be to song, and so we'll be having a bit of discussion on how these dances and the ceremonial aspects and that will go, and how they'll come together, and how we may present a good presentation on that. So,
just speaking of the songs, I know it's traditional that you always have a group of singers that the dancers perform to. And I was struck by the voices in Juwalpa song that I listened to recently. Tell us about the musicians or the singers, where they come from, and it must be something new. It hasn't happened there for quite some time. And I was just thinking of the many new things that are happening there now that haven't happened for a long time, and the skills base that is being built around that.
yes, well, hopefully the singers will grow, and this is part of the process as well, that as we get the dancers together, and those people that like to sing or chant, and some people prefer just to dance and things like that. So hopefully we'll get some more backup. But what's happened is we have around about 13 songs that have been developed. Not all of them will be going to this into the exhibition. Several will, but a number of them won't. That'll be for another project at some other time. But we were very, very fortunate in that a good friend of ours, Jordin Steele, who resides over in Port Douglas, is a very accomplished vocalist, operatic vocalist, and music teacher, vocalist teacher, and engineer, sound engineer. So what's been happening is over the last number of weeks, a few of us go over there, and we've been recording the songs, and also learning how we can better harmonise our voices within the song. So we get a bit of instruction from Jordin on how to do that. So I've had three nieces, Amelia Ryan, Melissa Ryan, and Shanoa Ryan, and along with Jordin, and we've been working on doing that. And one of our main ones is a song that we developed for the Mossman State Primary School, which is called Bubung Guridin, which means beautiful country. I don't know if you've heard that, Sal. But,
I haven't yet, no.
Oh, okay. But that's, if you listen to the arrangement of that, it's a little bit different to the other songs, because it's made to sing with a choir. So we've been working with the state school on Fridays to work with the young people there to learn the song, and it'll be one of the primary presentations on the night is to have that school choir sing this song about our beautiful country. And
It must be enormously exciting for those students at the school who are learning language. I mean, they don't realise, I guess, that it's very special what's happening. But I know they're very enthusiastic about learning the language.
Oh, absolutely. No, it has been. I think on our on our initial visit to start sharing the song, we had 27 young people there. So that was good, and a lot of them are very good. And Jordin Steele is a very good educator. She really knows the stuff in regards to music and engaging young people in choirs. I mean, she's done that numerous of times over her career so far. So it's really good to watch, and to see the kids start taking it on. But it'll be a push now to. We've only got a matter of weeks before it goes, and only so many lessons that we can do in between. But Jordin's confident it will be done, and I have every faith in that. So we'll be looking forward to it. Yeah, it will be a feature of the exhibition. As you know, a lot of the project has been about language. So the exhibition will be well soaked in language on the night, Yeah, so we're very much looking forward to it. So as it comes closer to the event, sometimes it seems it gets a little bit exciting, and at other times you hope it's going to happen, But yeah, but no, it will happen. It's very exciting, and we don't know the result of what it'll bring about or the offshoots of that. But I think if we go about things in a good way, then good things will happen. That's my mantra anyway.
Well, congratulations, John. I know there's enormous efforts going into it, and it's been a huge undertaking by the community, really. And I know people are looking very much to the exhibition.
The excitement's building around the community, and all the notices and posters are now being distributed, and so there's a bit of excitement building, which puts a bit of pressure, of course. But David, it all starts with the community and the community involvement. And otherwise nothing will move. We can't do things by ourselves. And we have to work with each other. We have to collaborate. We have to share the ideas. And when you do that, you find you'll get the strongest possible result that you could get. Yeah.
Well, as always, terrific talking with you, John. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, David. Good to speak with you. And Jumanadjo.
Jumanadjo.